Prologue. It's the aftermath of an apocalypse of life on Earth as we know it. The planet has suffered a devastating alteration to its surface composition. Although the Earth has been resilient in the face of catastrophe over the millennia and has already begun to rejuvenate in some way or another, there is speculation that it might never completely recover from the nuclear war that raged as a last resort for the powers that be to hang on to the control of the planet and not lose it to the few humans who are assisting with the invasion of a dominant alien race. There are only a select few areas that weren't affected. These areas were quickly seized by the invading aliens and the humans who'd worked with them during the takeover for habitation, leaving the rest of mankind to struggle for survival in a damaged world. With many of the natural resources impaired, most of the conveniences that society enjoyed have been lost or deliberately removed by the New World Order. The aliens brought in their own technology, but it isn't made available to the humans who they strive to keep suppressed. Transportation for man consists of walking or riding a domestic beast that he might be lucky enough to own and has the ability to maintain. Electricity is solar generated. Communication is limited to solar-operated cell phones for the select few who the aliens find useful and who have a skill to provide as a means to purchase them. Their use is monitored by the reigning government. There's no such thing as private communication. If you are lucky enough to own a television or a radio, the world information and entertainment is censored by the ruling regime. Most of the human population that manages to survive untainted leads to an isolated life. Their only contact with the regime is an occasional undesired visit by the cyborgs who patrol the area to enforce the new laws. Drones routinely scan the Earth's surface by air, searching for animals and humans who have had the misfortune of having their genetics forever altered by nuclear contamination. The drones are programmed to track and report to the cyborgs the whereabouts of all creatures with altered genetics in an effort to eliminate the possibility of the Earth's population being permanently changed through breeding or infection. It was never the aliens' intention to destroy Earth's inhabitants, just dominate them and maintain them as a food and labour source. The leaders are eager to bring back the purity of both man and beast. There exists a secret society amongst the wealthy who are able to foresee the loss of the planet to these cannibalistic aliens. They spread the word amongst the rest of their kind, and the wealthier humans who weren't involved in conquering and running Earth alongside the aliens escaped to inner Earth. The cost of such a venture was considerable, leaving it an option for the wealthy only. The remaining humans are left to struggle for survival under the thumb of an oligarchy regime. It was never the intention of the aliens to completely destroy the human race, since it is coveted for multiple purposes that range from slave labour to food sources. Furious over the unnecessary nuclear damage that was done to the planet and its inhabitants, they set an example as to what would happen to anyone who considered such an act again, by capturing those who were involved in the detonation of the nuclear warfare that caused so much destruction and damage by publicly executing them in an extremely primitive manner. With mankind frightened and scattered over an unfamiliar and often non-supporting terrain, the regime does its best to do an inventory of who is left and untainted by radiation or disease, and all births are recorded. In an effort to assume control of the quality of the regenerating population, the regime has passed a law. Those born of perfect genetics are to be located and carefully monitored. All males and females aged 14 and older are to be sought out and taken from their homes to a breeding facility. There, they will be analysed and paired with a mate whose combined genetics promise to produce the best offspring. Those who are found damaged or mutated are to be immediately disposed of to prevent polluting the future human race. Humans living in isolated areas have yet to learn of the new breeding law due to lack of communication with the rest of the world. With the exception of an occasional drone passing overhead, they aren't as closely monitored as those who live near the more populated and habitable areas, since the regime assumes that no one of notable and desired genetics would remain in such an uninhabitable land. To complicate matters, unbeknownst to the world leaders who set the nuclear warfare upon the planet, scientists involved in germ warfare have released a virus in concentrated enemy territory. It was the intention of the powers that be to subdue the enemy with a disease that ate at their brain to the point they were literally walking corpses and then destroy the virus so that it didn't spread. Unfortunately, they were taken by surprise when nuclear devastation simultaneously consumed the planet, and the scientists were either killed or scattered for survival, and the records containing the formula for the cure were lost. Now, along with having to hide their existence from the New World regime while struggling to survive in a world that is barely equipped to support them, The people of Earth who have managed to go undetected by the ever-present drones and cyborgs must also protect themselves from becoming a zombie or being eaten by the invading aliens who considered human meat a delicacy.